Ever wonder why some people seem unstoppable in their pursuit of their dreams, while others struggle to get started? This is where the extraordinary power of motivation comes into play, a force that can either propel us towards our goals or keep us stagnant. You see, motivation is the engine that drives action. It's the spark that ignites the fire within us to chase our dreams, to overcome obstacles, and to strive for excellence. It's the difference between waking up with purpose or dragging through the day aimlessly. It's that little voice inside your head that says, "Yes, you can," when everything else seems to be shouting, "No, you can't." Now, let's delve a little deeper into the intricate world of motivation. There are two primary types of motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation comes from within. It's the joy of doing something for its own sake, the internal satisfaction, the personal fulfillment. Think about a child building a sandcastle just because it's fun, or a musician playing their instrument purely for the love of music. On the other hand, extrinsic motivation is driven by external factors. This might be the desire for recognition, rewards, or to avoid negative consequences. It's the athlete training hard to win a gold medal, or the student studying diligently to achieve high grades. Imagine a marathon runner, for instance, the grueling miles, the burning lungs, the aching muscles. Why do they do it? Is it for the intrinsic joy of pushing their limits, feeling every heartbeat, every breath? Or is it for the extrinsic rewards, the cheering crowds, the shiny medal at the finish line? Most likely it's a mix of both. The power of motivation is undeniable. It's the fuel that keeps the marathon runner going, the artist painting, the scientist researching. It's that internal or external push that turns dreams into reality, that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. So whether you're chasing a personal goal or striving for professional success, understanding the science behind motivation can be the key to unlocking your inner drive. Have you ever stopped to consider what truly motivates you? This question is essential for understanding our drives and desires. Let's delve into two significant forms of motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic. Let's start with intrinsic motivation. This is the drive that comes from within, spurred by personal interest or enjoyment. Imagine a student who is engrossed in studying not because they are chasing grades, but because they revel in the joy of learning. They're not motivated by rewards or external validation, but by the sheer pleasure and satisfaction they derive from the process. This type of motivation can be powerful because it's self-sustaining. The downside, however, is that it may not always align with societal expectations or tangible rewards. On the other hand, we have extrinsic motivation. This is the drive that's influenced by external factors like rewards or punishments. Picture a different student who's studying hard not because they love the subject, but because they're aiming for good grades. They're motivated by the prospect of praise, scholarships, or avoiding the disapproval of parents or teachers. This type of motivation can be effective in achieving specific goals, but it can also be fleeting. Once the reward is received or the punishment is avoided, the motivation might disappear. In reality, most of us are driven by a blend of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. We might pursue a hobby because we love it. That's intrinsic motivation. While also working a job we might not enjoy because it pays the bills. That's extrinsic motivation. The key here isn't to judge one form of motivation as better than the other, but to understand what drives us in different contexts. When we're aware of our motivations, we can harness them more effectively. We can tap into our intrinsic motivation to fuel our passion projects and use extrinsic motivation to power through tasks that are necessary but not necessarily enjoyable. Knowing what motivates you can help you harness your drive more effectively. So, take a moment to reflect. What's your mix of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation? And how can you use this understanding to fuel your journey towards your goals? Did you know your brain has a reward chemical that plays a huge role in motivation? This chemical is called dopamine, and it's a neurotransmitter, which is a fancy way of saying that it's a messenger in your brain that plays a part in how we feel pleasure. It's also a major player in our unique human ability to think and plan. So, how does dopamine fuel motivation? Well, let's imagine you're a regular at the gym. You've just completed a tough workout, and you're feeling a sense of accomplishment. That's dopamine at work. You see, when you set a goal and then achieve it, your brain releases dopamine. This makes you feel great and, crucially, makes you want to repeat the action that led to the reward. It's a cycle. Set a goal, achieve it, feel good, and repeat. That's the dopamine-driven feedback loop that's powering your motivation. But here's the catch. Dopamine doesn't just kick in when you achieve your goal. It also gets released when you're anticipating the reward. This is why just thinking about hitting the gym can make you feel good, even before you've laced up your trainers. It's the expectation of the reward, not the fulfillment of it, that dopamine really works its magic on. Dopamine is like the cheerleader in your brain, encouraging you to push through and reach your goals. But it's also a bit of a taskmaster, keeping you focused on the task at hand, helping you to ignore distractions, and driving you to completion. By understanding how dopamine works, you can use it to your advantage to boost your motivation. You can set small, achievable goals to trigger dopamine release and use the anticipation of that feel-good reward to drive you forward. So next time you're struggling to find the motivation to hit the gym or to tackle any goal really, remember your brain's cheerleader and taskmaster, dopamine, and let it help you hit those goals. Now you may be wondering, how can I increase my motivation? Well, the good news is there are tried and tested strategies that can help you boost your motivation. Let's delve into them. First off, setting clear and specific goals is pivotal. Imagine an entrepreneur, let's call him Jack. Jack has a dream of starting his own tech company. Instead of being vague about it, he clearly defines his goal: to establish a tech startup that creates innovative solutions for small businesses within the next 2 years. This specificity gives Jack a clear direction and fuels his motivation. Next, it's important to celebrate small victories. Every step Jack takes towards his goal, whether it's drafting a business plan, finding an investor, or hiring his first employee, is a win. By celebrating these small milestones, Jack keeps his motivation high. It's about appreciating the journey, not just the destination. Visualizing success is another powerful strategy. Jack often imagines the day his company launches its first product. He sees the excitement in his team, the positive reviews, the satisfied customers. This mental picture serves as a strong motivational force, pushing him to work harder. Finally, maintaining a positive mindset is crucial. Entrepreneurship is filled with ups and downs. But Jack chooses to stay optimistic. He believes in his idea and his capability to make it a reality. Even when he faces obstacles, he views them as opportunities to learn and grow, not as reasons to give up. This positivity keeps his motivation alive. Remember, motivation is not a one-time thing, it's a continuous process. It's about taking one step at a time, keeping your eyes on the goal, and believing in your abilities. Remember Jack, he's not extraordinary, he's just like any one of us. But his approach towards his goal is what sets him apart. Implementing these strategies can help you tap into your inner drive and achieve your goals. Whether it's starting a business, running a marathon, or learning a new language, these strategies can help you unlock your motivation and make things happen. So, go ahead, take the first step, and keep the fire of motivation burning. Let's recap what we've learned about the science of motivation. We've embarked on a journey to understand the inner workings of our minds and how motivation plays a pivotal role in our daily lives. We started by examining the sheer power of motivation. This invisible force that propels us forward, making us strive for more, reach higher, and never settle for mediocrity. It's the fuel that drives us to achieve our goals and make our dreams a reality. Next, we delved into the two main types of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation comes from within. It's driven by our personal interests and values. It's the joy of learning new things, the satisfaction of a job well done, the thrill of personal growth. On the other hand, extrinsic motivation is fueled by external rewards or punishments. It's the desire for recognition, the fear of failure, the allure of a prize. Both types of motivation are necessary and play unique roles in our lives. Then we explored the role of dopamine, our brain's reward chemical. Dopamine is what makes us feel good when we achieve a goal. It's the high we get from success. It's an essential component in the motivational process, encouraging us to repeat behaviors that lead to rewards. Thus, understanding how dopamine works can help us harness its power to boost our motivation. Lastly, we discussed various strategies to increase motivation. These include setting clear and achievable goals, focusing on progress rather than perfection, celebrating small victories, and maintaining a positive mindset. Remember, motivation is not a fixed trait. It's a skill that can be cultivated and improved over time. So there you have it, the power of motivation, the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, the role of dopamine, and strategies to boost motivation. Each element is a piece of the puzzle, helping us understand the complex dynamics of motivation. Remember, understanding your motivation is the first step to unlocking your inner drive. Harness it, and there's no limit to what you can achieve.